Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources. Welcome to today's edition of Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network. Whether you are caring for a senior, are a senior, or just plan to be one, we hope you'll enjoy today's program.
Ever heard of small group home assisted living? It's a personalized and cost-effective idea to consider when thinking about living options. Join program host Kerry Fink as he talks with clinical psychologist Dr. Diane Walker, who owns and operates a place like home assisted living in Palm Bay, Florida, on this edition of Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors of Brevard. Welcome to Helping Seniors Television. I get the privilege of sitting in for Joe Steckler, our president and founder today, and we have a very interesting show ready for you today. It's about something that many of you may not necessarily be familiar with. I know I wasn't until very recently that there is such a thing as a small group assisted living home. Now, what does that mean? And we're going to learn all about it because our guest today is Dr. Diane Walker, who is the owner, and she's actually also a clinical psychologist, but she is the owner of a place like home assisted living, which is a small group home in Palm Bay. And welcome to the show.
Hi, Kerry. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. You know, I have to say that as a general consumer, we often use this line that aging is on-the-job training. There is no, you just run up, whether you are the person, well, we're all aging, but whether you're the person who's aging or whether you are caring for a person who's aging, this is sort of on-the-job training. And a lot of this you're learning on the fly as situations present themselves. And so to the vast majority of people, we don't even know necessarily a difference between industry terms like skilled nursing facility versus assisted living versus independent living. And we get all into this thing where we just lump it into, oh, it's a nursing home, and it must be like the ones I remember seeing grandma when I was a kid. And that necessarily does that evoke a positive memory. So when we talk about assisted living, it's a whole different world today, isn't it, than what it was, years ago.
Oh, absolutely. It's advanced so much in the last 30 years.
Yeah, and many of us are familiar with larger scale because maybe we see the advertisements, for this such and such a place does memory care, or such and such a place is an assisted living, or we might see ads like that for a big building, but we don't really know about a thing called a small group home. What is it? Can you just explain to our viewers, what is a small group assisted living?
Okay, so good question.
Thanks.
A small home is generally run out of residential homes, and so most of them are licensed anywhere from maybe 5 or 6 beds all the way up to probably 14 is about the biggest, where the large homes can be 80, 100, 110 beds, so it's a total different situation. Yeah. And so some of the advantages is that some people are not able to negotiate around a big place like that. So they'll get lost and it's scary. And big places are wonderful for many people, and small places are wonderful for many people. The biggest advantage of a small home is that it's small.
Well, and with the name of your particular assisted living being called a place like home, I assume that's part of the charm or the reason to consider it, because you would feel less institutional maybe and more like what you've been used to your whole life.
Right. It's very homey and cozy, and but also it's very like the accessibility and response time is quite quick. So because we're all close like that in a smaller area, then if they need something, we're immediately right there. Maybe they need help going to the restroom, well, we can bring them. They need a snack, they need a pat on the back or a rub. And even when we have times when we're doing chores and working, let's say we're cooking in the kitchen, and if the people are scattered around near us, we're always interacting that way. So here's what we're having for dinner, here's what did you used to like to make, and if they're listening to music, we can comment on that. So there's a lot of interaction time. I like to call it family banter. So, I mean, we do our formal activities too,
Sure.
and we do have group time and all of that, but we have a lot of interacting time just all through the day.
So a key thing when we talk about a small care home assisted living kind of facility, you're saying it's just like you're in a residential neighborhood. You're not driving into a big complex with a parking lot and all that kind of things and riding the elevator and all that. It's just like being at a home.
Right, and that's to get back to your original thought. One of your original thoughts is that why don't people know about small homes?
Right.
Because most cities are not going to allow you to put an advertisement out, so you can't have a sign in the front or anything like that. Because it is residential, they don't want to interfere with other people. You know, it's quiet, we all keep to our own and all of that. Sometimes we have ambulances and things, so as not to upset the neighbors, it's on the...
You just blend in with the neighborhood then, which is another reason for it being called. But in what way are small care homes similar to the larger assisted living facilities? Like, you know, if you were explaining to somebody who may not, they just, in general, when we don't know, we lump all of these things together. We don't really understand the difference between independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, that whole, you know, Joe, our president, he talks about what he calls elements of care, and he says it's important that we get the right elements of care for a person at a particular stage in their life. And obviously those things may change as somebody ages, but to get the right solution for that person at the right time. So how would you describe the similarity between a small assisted living home and maybe the larger ones that somebody might have seen an ad for or something like that?
Okay, so the way that we're similar to large homes or facilities is that we have to have all the same licensing. Our staff has to go through all the same training. We have to have pull stations. We need to have surveys and fire department comes in to do their inspection and the health department inspection, and we have drills and we have all of those same things as the large places. We also have third-party providers that come in, so we have a nurse practitioner, we have a podiatrist, we have beautician if need be, we have home health comes in, and also hospice if necessary. One other thing, getting back to what makes small care homes unique is that they're often family owned, and so there's that pride of ownership and all the little special touches that come in with something like that. And if I didn't mention already, because it's family owned, then there's very little turnover and continuity of care, and a lot of time for individual time, maybe more time of more staff to resident ratio. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I've heard this said before, that one good question to ask in any assisted living scenario that you might be considering is to inquire about how long the person who's been operating and managing that facility has been in place. And if you could go back and you see turnover every year, then it doesn't necessarily mean anything other than there's not that stability or that consistency. Whereas if you have somebody, and I think you told me before we began that you've now been operating a place like home for the better 9 years, closing in on a decade. So you really have a lot of experience in this whole area.
Yeah, true.
I wanted to, in fact, I wanted to carry that actually a step further, because I wanted to ask you a little bit about your own background. And you are, like we said at the top of the show, you're a clinical psychologist, and in particular, you have a special focus and expertise in geriatric care and geriatric psychology. Tell us a little bit about how, first of all, how did you pick that in the area of psychology? What do you see, and how does that help you in what you do with a place like home?
lots of questions in that question.
Well, let's break it down. Let's talk about what is a geriatric psychologist, and how are you able to help people as they age?
Okay, so starting long ago, early in my career, I haven't just focused on geriatric. I had a private practice of a few days a week, and then I would go in and out of nursing homes and assisted livings too. So I've done both for many, many years, but I really took to the seniors. And so what I've noticed by going into other places over all of those years, and what I wanted to bring into my own facility, first of all, because I'm a psychologist and because I handpick who works there, I'm able to train my workers, my staff. Not only is it important for the physical needs and the nutritional needs, but the emotional and psychological needs are very important. And sometimes, no offense to anyone, but sometimes in certain facilities, people kind of get left by the wayside a little bit, and maybe not drawn in as much as they could be, in my opinion. So I train to make eye contact, gentle little touches, and then how important that no matter what level a person's at, they need to be validated. What they think and what they feel is primarily important, no matter what level of functioning. Also, people, no matter what age they are, they need to feel valuable. And so the staff that I have is trained in all of those things. Also, depression, anxiety, and adjustment disorders are underdiagnosed and undertreated. So we are mindful of all of that. And 3 of us at a place like home, maybe what certainly makes us, one of the things that makes us different than other places is that we are trained in Kundalini yoga. And so Kundalini yoga is really interesting because it's not just postures or exercise or anything like that. It's a combination of hand movements and maybe sounds and postures and exercise, and you put it all together in something that's called a kriya. They have done research now on some of the Kundalini yoga kriyas, and we do chair yoga, by the way, because they're not going to be getting down on the floor and all of that. And they've done research at UCLA and at University of Pennsylvania, and a Harvard-trained doctor has done his research too. And they are finding, I'm going to read a little bit of it because I don't want to get it wrong. And so it's the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, and they found that just doing this simple Kriya 12 minutes a day can reverse memory loss. It reduces depression by 65% in the subjects that were studied, improves the cerebral blood flow, increases energy, gets rid of stress, lessens stress. And a really fascinating area because now it's improved psychological, spiritual well-being, but it also increases telomerase, which is an enzyme that slows down the cell aging, by 43%. So that's the largest increase ever recorded from a research study on that particular enzyme. So it's in its infancy, but anyway, there's more technical things in there science-wise, and all published in all of these journals: Alzheimer's Disease Journal, International Geriatric Psychiatry, Biochemical Pharmacology, and on and on and on. So it's a really exciting area.
This is one of the benefits that you get when somebody joins a place like home, right? Is they get the benefit of having your expertise as a geriatric psychologist, and really you've spent so much time studying, all these issues that seniors run into with depression and things like that, and you're kind of on the cutting edge of how you might approach or help somebody with that.
Yeah, I think we think so.
Yeah. So if we take it a step farther and say, well, what sets a place like home apart? Like when you sat down and you said, this is what I want to do, and you set this in motion, like we said a decade ago, what did you have in mind, or how do you see this being a unique opportunity for somebody as they're thinking about their own aging?
Yeah. Well, again, being the clinical psychologist with geriatric specialty, and then having their staff trained in that area as well. The Kundalini Yoga sets us apart. But also, people call us a bed and breakfast style because we're small, yes, but it very almost quaint and cozy and charming.
Family style.
And so, and we're also a memory care facility community.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that. So even somebody who may be challenged with those type of issues is a candidate for a place like home.
Sure. And so we have a coded key entrance to the front, and then maybe unique to at least the small homes, we're completely gated our backyard. It's tropical, it's gorgeous. We've got a 3-tier fountain, we've got a gazebo, we've got a 15 by 30 foot deck with a big pergola over it. We've got fans and lights and all of this lawn chair. We eat out there at least one day. I mean, one time our big meal is at lunchtime. Another thing that sets us apart maybe is that yes, we're locked, but it's not as a prison or anything like that. It's to have a person be the highest functioning that they can, and so they can come in and out as they are physically able, and that gives them a lot of independence, even though they're in a very safe environment.
Right. That sort of goes back to what Joe talks about on these elements of care, because it also sounds like it's an environment where you can age in place. Like maybe if you find that you're at a certain place as you move in, but then you require higher levels of care, it seems like then because you are able to deal with memory care, then it seems much more likely that you don't have to make a switch as you go along.
That's exactly right. They don't have to switch at all unless they get something that physically that needs a skilled nurse every single day. Other than that, even at the very end, we have hospice come in and they don't have to move even then. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So now people may have this understanding, say, well, if I go to a big building, they're going to have all these qualified people, but I don't know what I get if I go to a small assisted living. Is that a valid concern, or how does that work?
Well, like we touched upon back then, we have all of the same training, and in addition, memory care communities have additional training for their staff, and in addition, the psychologist requires additional training that I give. So instead of being less qualified, they're equally and certainly more qualified than some of the other facilities. They CPR first aid, they have to have a background level 2 screening. So
they meet all the requirements that are in there. Now, when we talk about small homes and assisted living facilities like that, I think you already brought out that an advantage is that because it is a high staff to resident ratio, there's going to be a much higher level of interactivity perhaps than at a larger where you were just, bed number 42 on the roll or something like that. And I don't mean it disparagingly. I'm just saying it does seem like there's much more of an intimacy, of a chance for there to be a real interaction. You get to know people's habits and what's normal for them and not. And probably it would seem like that might create a safer environment in some respects.
Well, we think so. Yeah. And then also the families can get really close too, because they can come right in and boom, they're in with the caregiver, and then to the administration, boom, it's me, come, hi. It's like, so it's very personal on all levels.
Absolutely.
But also there's a lot at our place, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies. I was mentioning that gorgeous tropical backyard. So we have a gazebo too, and then people there's chairs over here, and the little sitting areas over here, and little sitting areas over there. They have their bedroom privacy. So we can all come together, we can all have the privacy. That makes it marvelous.
So it really makes it like homey like that. And I noticed when I went onto your website, you have a lot of photos there of various outings and things. So it seems like you guys are always looking for opportunities to do something with residents that will have meaning. I saw you had pictures from like Thanksgiving holiday and different things throughout the year, and it looks like everybody was really getting a chance to participate and enjoy that experience.
Well, that's all part of that philosophy where that people need to feel valuable and they need to be validated. And part of that is just to make things as special as we can. So we have linen tablecloths and linen napkins and silverware, and we have music and candles, and that's at the place. We celebrate birthdays big time and holidays big time, but we also take them out. Basically, because we're small, we could take them wherever they want to go. So we've been to plays, we've brought them down to the beach, actually putting their feet in the water. Wow. Yeah, it's really nice. And restaurants, at least once a month we go out to a restaurant, all of us. Good. And so, yeah, we try to make it very special.
So if you begin to consider, now somebody may not have even been aware, we always say exposure is the first step, because if you don't know there's such an option, you can't even begin to consider it. But now if somebody says, wow, all this talk about small assisted living homes, I can see some advantages, or I can see why the person I care about might thrive in an environment like that. How do you tell people, like when they start the research? I've heard a number that there could be as many as 180 assisted living facilities here in Brevard County. And obviously many of them are small, but how can a person start to figure out, well, just in general, what's a good small home versus maybe the one that you would probably pass by?
Well, most of that you can tell when you go for a visit, a site visit. I mean, some of it's going to be word of mouth, of course, but when you go for a visit, be mindful. Is the staff friendly and kind? I mean, our staff is so kind and loving by nature that, and then also, how does the place smell? At our place, we use 100% pure essential oils, so that's a very nice smell. And do they have all of the training that they're supposed to have? I mean, of course, they're supposed to in order to pass their surveys and all, but, you know, are they trained? Are they kind? Does it smell good? Does it look like they're being cared for? So do they use the facility to the opposite of detriment to
the benefit.
The benefit.
Sure.
Of people there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you look at a place like that, and somebody says, well, I'm going to get in a car and I'm going to look at a couple of different places and try to figure out what's right for mom, what are or dad, or as the case would be, how do you advise somebody if they said, well, tell me the things I should look for? How would I know if my loved one would like it here?
You look for the things that we were talking about. We look for, are they kind? I guess even as simple as, do they speak English? If it's an English place, I mean, if it's specializing in Spanish or something like that, that's fine. But are they hiring staff that can communicate well with and do they seem to have, I mean, excellent care is sort of a given, but excellent care, I think, follows love. You know, you're not going to be able to give maybe excellent care. I guess you could be technical in all of that, but you know, you have to have it here in order to have it here. You know.
No, I follow. So let me ask this question, because you guys are really in a unique position, because you also offer the opportunity for things like respite care or adult daycare. So you're able to handle individuals on 3 different levels. They can come and live there, or maybe even as a starting point could be, listen, a caregiver wants to take a vacation, but they want to know that they're leaving their loved one in a good, safe, caring environment. What a great way to get things started. It would be like that. Or if it's a person that is committed to caregiving and they say, well, I've got this at night, but I can't do this during the day because I have to work and I have to do these things, but I can't leave this person home safely alone. These are things that you guys can help with.
Oh, absolutely. When we do it regularly. So the whole range of maybe half a day or a full day or maybe a few days a week for the adult daycare. Then the respite would be if someone needs to go away, even if it's just overnight or a long weekend or 2 weeks or anything like that. And we have regular people who come for their respite. This is their twice-a-year vacation. I wouldn't go anywhere except for your place, Dr. Walker.
Wow.
But the nice thing about adult daycare, too, we do have people coming in for that. But the big places are beautiful, of the adult daycare places, but they're not open on weekends.
Right.
So with a place like home, we are there. So people sometimes come and just drop their loved one off for a few hours while they go to church or while they go.
You're 24/7, right?
Exactly, where they go to the dentist or they go shopping or they go anything like that. So.
Wow. Now, without getting into real specifics, because obviously everything is going to be a little bit different depending on what's needed, but is this an affordable approach for people? Like if they compare to what it might cost at a bigger home, is it more expensive, or how does that work into the budget equation?
Sure. Small care homes are across the board going to be more affordable.
Really?
Than the large places, yeah. And because with a small home, well, we're semi-private or private. We have 2 semi-privates and 2 private rooms. In a small home, basically everything's included except a person's personal medications and their incontinence supplies. So sometimes with the larger places, they might have a base price, and then, well, if you want us to divvy out the medication, it's going to cost more, and if you want to have us wash their laundry, it might be more. And again, you know, for certain people, that's a wonderful thing. I don't want to bother with it and all of that. But people have money concerns.
Sure.
And in the smaller homes, it's going to be quite affordable.
Wow, that's really amazing. So it could be definitely worth, anybody who's considering assisted living should explore this. How would they, we just have just a few seconds left, but how do people get in touch with you? What's the phone number? What's the best way to say, I'm interested in what I'm hearing, I would like to see a small assisted living, I'd like to see a place like home?
Okay, so we're a place like home. I'm Dr. Diane Walker, and our telephone number is 321-693-3325. Please call.
Yeah, let me have you say it one more time.
321-693-3325. And our website?
Yes.
A Place Like Home.
Assisted living.
assistedliving.com. we just changed to a new one. A Place Like Home, assistedliving.com.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Diane Walker, for being with us here today and educating us about the value and the affordability of small group homes. Thanks again.
And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, viewer, for joining us on Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.